A favor that changed everything. Lily Brooks stared at her reflection in the bathroom mirror, trying to convince herself this wasn't the worst idea she'd ever agreed to. The borrowed navy dress hung perfectly on her frame, but it felt like a costume. She wasn't the type of woman who frequented five-star restaurants or wore designer heels that pinched her toes. She was a record shop girl who preferred vintage band tees and comfortable sneakers. "You look amazing," Rachel Morgan called from the living room of their tiny apartment. "Stop overthinking it," Lee emerged, tugging at the dress hem. "Remind me why I'm doing this again?" Rachel clasped her hands together like she was praying. "Because you're the best friend in the entire world. My mother will literally never forgive me if I cancel this blind date she set up. She's been planning it for months, so tell her you're sick." I tried that last time. She showed up with chicken soup and a thermometer. Rachel grabbed Lily's shoulders. "It's just one dinner. 2 hours maximum. You smile, make small talk, tell whoever shows up that there's no chemistry. And then we order takeout and binge our favorite show. Easy." Lily sighed, knowing she was already defeated. She had never been good at saying no to Rachel. Not since they'd become roommates 3 years ago. "Fine, but you owe me big time. I'll pay for your coffee for a month," Rachel promised, shoving Lily toward the door. "Now go before you're late." The most expensive mistake, the restaurant was called Le Jardin, and it was exactly as intimidating as Lily had feared. Crystal chandeliers cast warm light over tables draped in white linen. Every patron looked like they'd stepped out of a fashion magazine. Lily felt her confidence drain with each step across the polished marble floor. A hostess with perfect posture and an immaculate smile greeted her. "Good evening. Do you have a reservation?" "Yes, under Brooks." Lily tried to sound confident, but her voice came out small. The hostess checked her tablet and nodded. "Right this way." Lily followed her through the restaurant. Past couples leaning close in intimate conversation and business executives in expensive suits, the hostess stopped at a table near the window with a beautiful view of the city skyline. "Here you are," the hostess said, gesturing to the table. "Your date hasn't arrived yet. Can I bring you something to drink while you wait?" "Sparkling water, please," Lily managed. Sliding into the chair, as the hostess walked away, Lily pulled out her phone to text Rachel. She was about to type when she noticed the small brass number on the table. 21, her reservation. Confirmation had said table 12 before she could process this realization. A voice interrupted her thoughts. "I'm so sorry I'm late." Traffic was absolutely brutal. Lily looked up and forgot how to breathe. The man standing before her was devastatingly handsome. Tall, probably 6'2", with dark hair styled perfectly and piercing blue eyes that seemed to see right through her. His charcoal suit was clearly custom-tailored, fitting his athletic frame like it had been designed specifically for him. When he smiled, Lily felt her heart skip 3 full beats. "I'm James," he said, extending his hand across the table. "You must be Lily." She shook his hand, momentarily confused about how he knew her name before remembering it had been on the reservation. His grip was firm but gentle, and the touch sent an unexpected warmth through her entire body. "Nice to meet you," she heard herself say, her voice sounding distant to her own ears. James sat down, and a waiter immediately appeared to take his drink order. "Scotch neat, please." Oh. He turned his attention back to Lily, his eyes studying her with genuine interest. "I have to admit I wasn't looking forward to tonight. Blind dates usually feel forced and awkward. But I'm really glad I came. Connection that felt like magic." The conversation flowed easier than Lily could have imagined. James asked about her work, and she found herself talking passionately about Thompson's vintage vinyl, the record shop where she'd worked for the past 4 years. He listened intently, asking thoughtful questions about rare finds and what drew her to music. "There's something about vinyl," Lily explained, her hands gesturing as she spoke. "The crackle when the needle hits the record, the artwork, the ritual of it. Digital music is convenient, but vinyl makes you slow down and really listen." James leaned forward, genuinely engaged. "I have a collection myself, actually. Mostly jazz and classic rock. There's a Miles Davis original pressing that I'm particularly proud of, Kind of Blue or Bitches Brew." Lily asked, testing him. "It's kind of blue," he said with a grin. Are you a jazz fan? My father was, Lily said, her expression softening. He had hundreds of records. When he passed away 2 years ago, I inherited his collection. Every time I play one, it feels like he's in the room with me. James reached across the table and gently squeezed her hand. I'm sorry for your loss. But what a beautiful way to remember him. The touch lingered, and something shifted in the air between them. Lily realized she hadn't felt this comfortable with anyone in years. They talked about books, travel, childhood memories, and dreams for the future. James told her about building his investment company from the ground up, about the pressure and the sacrifices, but also about the satisfaction of creating something meaningful. Most people only see the money, James admitted, his thumb absently tracing circles on the back of her hand. They don't see the 18-hour days or the constant stress. But talking to you, it's like I can just be myself. Not the CEO, not the guy from the Forbes list. Just James. Lily's heart raced. I don't know anything about Forbes lists. I just see someone who's passionate about what he does and kind enough to listen when I ramble about vinyl records. James smiled, and in that moment, everything else in the restaurant faded away. Can I be honest with you? Please, Lily whispered. I didn't think tonight would go well. Blind dates are usually disasters, but you're different. You're real. And I haven't been able to stop thinking about kissing you since the moment I sat down. Lily's breath caught. Then why haven't you? James stood, walked around the table, and offered his hand. Lily took it, rising to her feet. He cupped her face gently, his eyes searching hers for permission. She nodded, barely perceptibly, and then his lips were on hers. The kiss started soft, tentative, but quickly deepened. Lily felt her entire body ignite, like every nerve ending had suddenly come alive. His hand slid to the back of her neck, pulling her closer, and she melted into him. Time stopped. The restaurant disappeared. Nothing existed except this moment, this connection, this perfect kiss. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing heavily, James rested his forehead against hers. Wow. Yeah, Lily agreed, dizzy. Wow. When reality crashes and the spell shattered when the restaurant door opened and a voice called out, James? A stunning woman in a red dress strode toward their table, her expression a mixture of confusion and irritation. She was tall, blonde, and radiated the kind of confidence that came from wealth and privilege. Veronica, James said, his voice tight with confusion. What are you doing here? Our date, the woman replied, pulling out her phone. Table 12, 7 o'clock. I have the confirmation right here. Lily's stomach dropped like a stone. She glanced at the brass number on the table, and the terrible truth crashed over her. 21. Not 12. Wait, James said, following her gaze. He turned to Lily, realization dawning on his face. You're not. I sat at the wrong table, Lily blurted out, her face burning with humiliation. I thought this was table 12. I'm so sorry. This was all a mistake. She grabbed her purse and bolted for the exit, her heels clicking frantically against the marble floor. Behind her, she heard James call her name, but she didn't stop. She couldn't stop. She had just kissed a complete stranger, ruined his actual blind date, and made a complete fool of herself. The cool night air hit her face as she burst onto the sidewalk, and she leaned against the building, trying to catch her breath. Her phone buzzed immediately with a text from Rachel.
How's it going?
Lily typed back with shaking hands, I need you to come get me, now. The morning after disaster, Lily had barely slept. She'd spent the entire night replaying the kiss, the conversation, and the horrible moment when everything fell apart. Rachel had picked her up, listened to the whole story, and then proceeded to laugh so hard she'd cried. Only you, Rachel had gasped between giggles. Only you could accidentally crash someone else's blind date and end up kissing a complete stranger. Now, sitting on their worn couch with coffee in hand, Lily felt the full weight of her embarrassment. I can never show my face in that restaurant again. Forget the restaurant, Rachel said, her fingers flying across her phone screen. Tell me his last name again? I don't know his last name. I only know James. Rachel's eyes went wide. James, who runs an investment company downtown. I think so. Why? Rachel turned her phone around, showing Lily a photo of the man she'd kissed. He was standing in front of a glass skyscraper, arms crossed, looking powerful and intimidating. The headline read, James Blackwood, CEO of Blackwood Investments, net worth $3.2 billion. Lily's coffee cup slipped from her fingers. Billion. With a B? With a very, very large B, Rachel confirmed, scrolling through the article. He's one of the most eligible bachelors in the country. Forbes, Business Weekly, you name it. And you kissed him. I didn't know. Lily grabbed the phone, staring at more photos. James at charity galas, shaking hands with politicians, speaking at conferences. Oh God, Rachel. What did I do? You had the best accidental date of your life, Rachel said, grinning. And according to this article, he goes to the same coffee shop every morning. Brew & Pages, 3 blocks from his office. Lily looked up sharply. Why are you telling me this? Because you need to see him again. Absolutely not. Did you miss the part where I humiliated myself? Rachel grabbed Lily's hands. Listen to me. You said it was the best kiss of your life. You said you felt more connected to him in 1 hour than you've felt with anyone in years. Are you really going to just let that go? Lily wanted to argue, but the words wouldn't come. Because Rachel was right. That kiss, that connection, had been real, and she couldn't stop thinking about it. What am I supposed to do? Lily asked quietly. Walk up to a billionaire and say, Hey, remember me? The girl who accidentally ruined your date? Yes, Rachel said firmly. Exactly that. The coffee shop encounter the next morning, Lily stood outside Brew & Pages, her heart hammering in her chest. The coffee shop was cozy, with exposed brick walls and the rich aroma of freshly ground beans. Through the window, she could see it was busy with the morning rush. She checked her watch. 8:10. Rachel's research said James usually arrived at 8-15, taking a deep breath. Lily pushed open the door and joined the line. She ordered a latte and found a seat by the window, pulling out a book to look casual. She'd read the same paragraph 5 times when the door chimed. James Blackwood walked in. And Lily's breath caught all over again. He was in a dark gray suit, carrying a leather briefcase. Looking every inch the successful CEO, then his eyes found hers. For a moment they just stared at each other across the coffee shop. Then James walked directly to her table. Lily, he said, his voice careful, like he was afraid she might disappear again. Hi, she managed. Are you following me? There was a hint of amusement in his tone. Lily's face flushed. No, I mean, not in a creepy way. She waved her hand vaguely. I come here sometimes. It's near my work. It was a terrible lie, and from the way James's lips twitched, he knew it. But instead of calling her out, he set down his briefcase and sat across from her. I'm glad you're here, he said simply. You are. You ran away before I could get your number. James leaned back in his chair, studying her. I spent the entire night thinking about you. About that kiss. About how you made me feel more like myself in one evening than I have in years. Lily's heart was doing somersaults. James, I'm so sorry about what happened. I didn't mean to sit at the wrong table, he smiled. Best mistake you ever made. But your actual date was someone my mother set me up with. Someone who, quite frankly, I had zero interest in. James reached across the table and took her hand. Lily, I don't care about the mix-up. I care about the fact that for the first time in forever, I met someone who didn't know about my money or my company. Someone who just talked to me like I was a regular person. Tears pricked at Lily's eyes. You are a regular person. A really, really rich regular person, but still... James laughed, and the sound filled Lily with warmth. Have dinner with me. A real dinner, where we both know who we are and what table we're supposed to be at. I'd like that, Lily said softly. Tonight. Tonight. James stood, but he didn't let go of her hand. I have to get to work, but I'll text you the details. And Lily? Yes? I'm really glad you sat at the wrong table. As he walked out of the coffee shop, Lily couldn't stop smiling. Her phone buzzed with a text from Rachel. "Well?" Lily typed back. "I have a date. A real one." Rachel's response was immediate. "I told you so." The walls come down that evening. James picked Lily up in a sleek black car with a driver. This time, she wore her own dress, something simple but elegant that made her feel like herself. When James saw her, his eyes lit up in a way that made her feel beautiful. "You look incredible," he said, helping her into the car. "You clean up pretty well yourself," she teased. Instead of a restaurant, James took her to the city's art museum, but it wasn't open to the public. As they walked through the empty halls, Lily realized he'd arranged for a private viewing. "How did you do this?" she asked, spinning slowly to take in a room full of impressionist paintings. "I'm on the museum board," James admitted. "I thought after the restaurant disaster, somewhere quiet might be better." They wandered through the galleries hand in hand, talking about the art, but mostly talking about themselves. James opened up about the pressure of running his company, about expectations, and the loneliness that came with success. Lily shared her dreams of maybe opening her own record shop someday, about missing her father, about feeling like she was still figuring out who she wanted to be. "You don't have to have it all figured out," James said as they stood before a Monet. "I built a billion-dollar company, and most days I still feel like I'm making it up as I go." "That's oddly comforting," Lily laughed, in the sculpture garden. Under twinkling lights, James stopped and turned to face her. "Lily, I know this is fast. We've only spent a few hours together, but I can't remember the last time I felt this way about someone. Like I can finally breathe." Lily reached up and touched his face. "I feel it too. It's terrifying and wonderful at the same time." "Move in with me," James said suddenly. Lily's eyes went wide. "What? I know it's crazy. I know we just met. But I have this enormous penthouse that feels empty, and you make everything feel warm. Move in with me. We'll figure out the rest as we go." Every logical part of Lily's brain screamed that this was too fast, too much, too soon. But her heart was singing a completely different song. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, I'll move in with you." James kissed her then, soft and sweet and full of promise. And as Lily kissed him back, she thought that sometimes the best things in life came from sitting at exactly the wrong table. A new world 2 weeks later. Lily stood in the middle of James's penthouse, surrounded by boxers containing her entire life. The space was enormous, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a panoramic view of the city. Everything was sleek, modern, and expensive. Rachel stood beside her, mouth hanging open. "Lily, there's a wine fridge," Rachel said for the 4th time, opening the kitchen appliance again. "An entire refrigerator just for wine." "I know," Lily laughed, unpacking books from a box. "It's a bit much, isn't it?" "A bit much?" "This place has more square footage than our entire apartment building." Rachel walked to the windows. "You can see the whole city from here." "The actual whole city." Lily joined her friend, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. "I still can't believe this is real. Sometimes I wake up and think I'm going to be back in our tiny apartment, and this will all have been a dream. Well, if it's a dream, it's a really good one." Rachel turned to face her. "But seriously, are you happy?" Lily thought about the past 2 weeks. James coming home early from meetings just to have dinner with her. Late-night conversations on the balcony. The way he looked at her like she was the most important thing in his world. "Yeah, Wretch, I really am." Her phone buzzed on the counter. Unknown number. Lily hesitated before answering. "Hello? Miss Brooks?" A male voice, professional and crisp. "My name is Timothy Walsh. I'm a reporter with the City Chronicle. I was hoping to ask you a few questions about your relationship with James Blackwood." Lily's stomach tightened. "I'm not interested, thank you. It would only take a few minutes. There's quite a bit of public interest in Mr. Blackwood's personal life. People are curious about the woman who caught his attention." "I said I'm not interested." Lily's voice came out sharper than she intended. "Please don't call this number again." She hung up, her hand shaking slightly. "Who was that?" Rachel asked, concern crossing her face.
"I'm the reporter."
Wanting to ask questions about me and James, Lily set the phone down like it might bite her. "I didn't think about this part." The attention. Rachel squeezed her shoulder. Did you tell James? Not yet. I don't want to worry him. Lily forced a smile. It's probably nothing. Just one curious reporter. But even as she said it, she couldn't shake the uneasy feeling settling in her chest, feeling out of place that evening. James came home early with news. I have a business dinner tomorrow night. Small group, just a few investors and their partners. I'd love for you to come with me. Lily looked up from the book she'd been reading. A business dinner? Nothing formal. Just dinner and conversation. James sat beside her on the couch, taking her hand. I want them to meet you. I want everyone to meet the woman who's made me this happy. How could she say no to that? Okay, what should I wear? Whatever makes you comfortable? These people don't matter to me. You do. But the next evening, as Lily got ready, she felt anything but comfortable. She'd borrowed another dress from Rachel, this one a deep burgundy that looked elegant enough for a business dinner. Still, as she looked at herself in the mirror, she felt like she was playing dress-up. The restaurant was upscale, but not as intimidating as Le Jardin. James introduced her to the other couples as they arrived. The men were all in expensive suits, the women in designer dresses that probably cost more than Lily's monthly salary. They were polite, friendly even, but Lily felt their eyes assessing her, trying to figure out who she was and why she was there. The conversation flowed around topics Lily knew nothing about: stock portfolios, real estate investments, market predictions. She tried to follow along, nodding at appropriate moments, but felt increasingly invisible. So, Lily, one of the women, Diana Foster, said with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes, James mentioned you work in retail. I work at a record shop, Lily corrected gently. Vintage vinyl, mostly. How charming, Diana said in a tone that suggested it was anything but. It must be so relaxing, spending your days with music. Nothing like the stress James deals with running his company. Every job has its challenges, Lily replied, keeping her voice even. Of course, Diana agreed, sipping her wine. Though I imagine it's quite different from James's world. All those important decisions and high-stakes negotiations. Under the table, James found Lily's hand and squeezed it. When she glanced at him, he was frowning at Diana, but he was also deep in conversation with one of the investors about a potential merger. Lily excused herself to the restroom, needing a moment to breathe. She stood at the sink, staring at her reflection. What was she doing here? These people lived in a completely different universe, and she was just pretending to fit in. Her phone buzzed. Rachel, how's it going? Knock 'em dead. Lily typed back, I feel completely out of place. Rachel's response was immediate. You belong anywhere James is. Remember that. When Lily returned to the table, the conversation had shifted to vacation homes and yacht clubs. She sat quietly, feeling more like a spectator than a participant. James kept glancing at her, concern evident in his eyes. But he couldn't extract himself from the business discussions. The article that changed everything the next morning. Lily woke to find James already gone. He'd left a note on his pillow. Early meeting. Love you. See you tonight? She smiled, tucking the note into her nightstand drawer where she'd been keeping all his little messages. She was making coffee when her phone started buzzing repeatedly. Text after text, call after call. Confused, Lily checked her messages. The first was from Rachel. Lily, call me now then from Mr. Thompson at the record shop. Are you okay? Just saw the article. And from numbers she didn't recognize, reporters asking for comments, photographers wanting to schedule shoots. Her hand shaking, Lily opened her news app. The headline made her stomach drop. Billionaire James Blackwood's mystery woman from Record. Shop to penthouse below was a photo of her and James leaving the restaurant after the business dinner, holding hands and smiling at each other. The article detailed her background, her job at Thompson's Vintage Vinyl, her small-town upbringing, even her old apartment with Rachel. It painted her as a nobody who'd somehow captured the attention of one of the city's most eligible bachelors. But it was the comments section that truly made her feel sick. Obvious gold digger. What does he see in her? She's using him for his money. Another nobody trying to climb the social ladder. Lily set her phone down, her vision blurring with tears. She'd known dating James would mean some level of public interest. But seeing herself dissected by strangers, having her worth questioned, her motives assumed, it felt like being stripped naked in front of the world. Her phone rang. James. I just saw it, he said the moment she answered. His voice was tight with anger. I'm so sorry. I'm calling my lawyers right now. This is an invasion of privacy. James, it's okay, Lily said, even though it wasn't. Oh, it's not okay. They had no right to publish that. She could hear him moving, probably pacing his office. I'm handling this. I promise you I'm handling this. Lily asked quietly, how do you handle strangers thinking they know everything about me? Thinking I'm only with you for money? By making it absolutely clear that our private life is off limits? His voice softened. Lily, please don't let them get to you. They don't know you. They don't know us. But everyone's reading it, James. Everyone's looking at me and making judgments. Then let me fix this. Trust me to fix this. Lily closed her eyes, feeling tears slip down her cheeks. Okay. After they hung up, Lily called Mr. Thompson and told him she needed to take a personal day. Then she turned off her phone, crawled back into bed, and let herself cry. Standing up for love, James canceled all his afternoon meetings. By 3 o'clock, his PR team had arranged a press conference at his office building. Lily watched from a side room as reporters filled the conference hall, cameras flashing, voices overlapping with questions. When James stepped up to the microphone, the room quieted. He looked calm, composed. Every inch the powerful CEO, but Lily could see the tension in his shoulders, the barely controlled anger in his eyes. Thank you for coming, James began. I'm going to make this brief. Yesterday, an article was published about my personal life, specifically about my relationship with Lily Brooks. The room erupted with questions. But James held up a hand for silence. I want to make something absolutely clear. Lily is not a gold digger. She's not using me. She's not any of the things suggested in that article or in the comments section. His voice grew harder. She's an intelligent, kind, incredible woman who I'm fortunate enough to love, and I will not tolerate anyone disrespecting her. Lily's breath caught. He'd said it publicly. Love. From this point forward, my personal life is off limits, James continued. I will not answer questions about my relationship. I will not participate in speculation. Lily and I deserve the same privacy that everyone else does. And if any publication chooses to violate that privacy, they will hear from my legal team. He paused, looking directly into the main camera. Lily, if you're watching this, I love you. I'm sorry you had to go through this. But I promise you I'll spend every day proving to you how much you mean to me. The room exploded with questions, but James simply walked away from the podium. He found Lily in the side room and pulled her into his arms. You didn't have to do that, she whispered against his chest. Yes, I did. He pulled back to look at her, cupping her face in his hands. You're worth fighting for, Lily. Always. A question that changes everything. The press conference helped. The narrative shifted from speculation about Lily to respect for their privacy. The intrusive calls and texts slowed, then stopped. Life began to feel normal again, or at least as normal as it could be when you were living with a billionaire. 3 months passed. Lily settled into a rhythm, working at the record shop during the day, coming home to James in the evening. They cooked dinner together, or rather, James attempted to cook while Lily laughed at his efforts. They spent weekends exploring the city, finding hidden bookstores and quiet cafes. They were building a life together, and Lily had never been happier. One Saturday morning, Lily woke to find James already awake, sitting on the edge of the bed, staring at something in his hands. Hey, she said, rubbing her eyes. What time is it? Early, James replied, his voice strange. Not quite nervous, but close. Lily sat up, suddenly alert. James, what's wrong? He turned to face her, and she saw what he was holding. A small velvet box. Her heart stopped. I know this is fast, James began, and she could hear the tremor in his voice now. We've only been together a few months. Every logical part of my brain says it's too soon. But Lily, I've spent my entire life being careful, making calculated decisions, playing it safe. And then you sat at the wrong table and turned my whole world upside down. He opened the box, revealing a ring. It was beautiful, simple, a single diamond on a platinum band. Perfect. You make me laugh, James continued, sliding off the bed to kneel in front of her. You challenge me. You see me, not the money, or the company, or the Forbes articles, just me. And I don't want to spend another day without knowing you're mine forever. Tears were already streaming down Lily's face. Lily Brooks, will you marry me? She couldn't speak. All she could do was nod frantically, laughing and crying at the same time. Yes, 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 yes. James slipped the ring onto her finger, then pulled her into a kiss that felt like coming home. When they finally broke apart, both were crying. I love you, Lily whispered. I love you so much. I love you too, James said, resting his forehead against hers. My beautiful, wonderful wife-to-be. They spent the rest of the morning in bed, talking about the future, about the wedding, about the life they would build together. Lily felt like her heart might burst from happiness, but she knew, deep in her gut, that this was just the beginning. There would be more challenges ahead, and the biggest one was about to walk through the door. Meeting the mother she wants to meet you, James said one evening, his tone careful. Lily looked up from the wedding magazine she'd been browsing. Who, my mother? James sat beside her on the couch, taking her hand. I've been putting it off, but now that we're engaged, she's insisting. Lily's stomach clenched. James rarely talked about his family. She knew his father had passed away when James was in college, and that his mother, Patricia Harrington, came from old money and high society. Beyond that, James had been vague, which Lily suspected meant the relationship was complicated. Okay, Lily said, trying to sound braver than she felt. When? This Saturday. Lunch at her estate. Squeezed her hand. I need to warn you, my mother is difficult. She has very specific ideas about how things should be, and she doesn't adjust those ideas easily. Are you trying to make me feel better? Because it's not working. James managed a small smile. Just be yourself. That's all I need you to be. Saturday arrived too quickly. The drive to Patricia's estate took them out of the city and into the countryside, where massive houses sat on acres of perfectly manicured land. When they pulled up to Patricia's property, Lily's mouth went dry. The house was a mansion, complete with columns, fountains, and gardens that looked like they required a full-time staff. A butler, an actual butler, answered the door and led them to a sitting room where Patricia Harrington waited. She was exactly what Lily had feared, elegant, imposing, with sharp eyes that seemed to catalog every detail of Lily's appearance in seconds. James, Patricia said, standing to offer her cheek for a kiss. You're late. 5 minutes, Mother, James replied, his voice neutral. Patricia's gaze shifted to Lily. And you must be the bride-to-be. Lily Brooks, Lily said, extending her hand. It's wonderful to meet you, Mrs. Harrington. Patricia's handshake was brief, her skin cool. Please sit. The lunch was excruciating. Patricia asked question after question, each one feeling like a test Lily was failing. Where had she gone to school? What did her parents do? What were her career ambitions? When Lily explained that her parents owned a hardware store in her hometown, Patricia's expression barely changed, but something flickered in her eyes. Disappointment, maybe? Or disdain. And you work in a record shop, Patricia said, more statement than question. Yes, ma'am. I've been there for 4 years. I love it. How quaint. Patricia sipped her tea. And what are your intentions regarding my son? Lily blinked. I'm sorry? Your intentions? James is a very successful man. He has responsibilities, a reputation to maintain. I need to know that you understand what being part of this family means, Mother James said, his voice taking on a warning edge. I'm simply being practical. James, Patricia turned back to Lily. Love is wonderful, dear, but it doesn't pay bills or maintain legacies. I need to know you're prepared for what this life entails. Lily felt her cheeks burn, but she kept her voice steady. Mrs. Harrington, I love your son. That's my intention, to love him and support him. I'm not interested in his money or his reputation. I'm interested in building a life with the man I love. Patricia's lips pressed into a thin line. Love doesn't last when faced with the realities of wealth and social standing. You come from a very different world, Lily. I've seen these mismatches before. They don't end well. James stood abruptly. We're leaving, James. Sit down, Patricia commanded. No. His voice was hard as steel. I brought Lily here to meet you, not to be insulted. Lily is going to be my wife. If you can't accept that, if you can't treat her with respect, then we won't be coming back. Patricia's eyes widened slightly, the first crack in her composed facade. James, I'm your mother, and she's going to be my wife. The woman I love. The woman I choose. James took Lily's hand, pulling her to her feet. I hope someday you can accept that. But until you can, we're done here. They left without another word. In the car, Lily was silent, processing what had just happened. James gripped the steering wheel tightly, his jaw clenched. I'm sorry, he finally said. I should have known she'd be like that. I should have warned you better. It's not your fault. Lily touched his arm. James, she's your mother. I don't want to come between you. He pulled over to the side of the road and turned to face her. Lily, listen to me. You're not coming between us. She's pushing me away with her judgment and her impossible standards. But you're the person who makes me want to be better, who makes me happy, and I will always choose you. Lily leaned across the console and kissed him. I love you. I love you too. He kissed her forehead. And I promise, we'll figure this out. Together. As they drove back to the city, Lily looked at her engagement ring, watching it catch the light. She'd meant what she'd told Patricia. She loved James, truly loved him. But she couldn't shake the feeling that Patricia Harrington wasn't done fighting yet. And Lily wasn't sure if their love would be strong enough to weather whatever storm was coming. The confrontation at the record shop Monday morning at Thompson's Vintage Vinyl started like any other. Lily was organizing the new arrivals section, carefully placing a rare Beatles album in its protective sleeve, when the bell above the door chimed. She looked up and froze. Veronica Ashby stood in the doorway, looking completely out of place among the vintage records and worn wooden floors. She was dressed impeccably in a cream-colored suit that probably cost more than Lily made in 6 months. Lily Brooks, Veronica asked, though her tone suggested she already knew the answer. Can I help you? Lily replied, keeping her voice professional, despite the anxiety creeping up her spine. Veronica walked further into the shop, her heels clicking on the floor. I think we met briefly at James's charity gala. I'm Veronica Ashby, I remember. Lily set down the album, giving Veronica her full attention. What can I do for you? I wanted to talk to you woman to woman. Veronica picked up a record, glancing at it without real interest. About James. Lily's pulse quickened. What about him? Did he ever mention that we were together? For 3 years. Veronica set the record down, her eyes meeting Lily's. We were perfect for each other. Same background, same social circle, same understanding of what his life requires. We were going to get engaged, actually, before things ended. The words hit Lily like a physical blow. James had never mentioned a serious relationship before her. 3 years was a long time. I don't understand why you're telling me this, Lily said carefully, because I think you should know what you're getting into. Veronica's voice wasn't cruel, but it wasn't kind either. James's world is demanding. The constant scrutiny, the social obligations, the expectations. It takes a certain kind of person to handle it. Someone who understands the rules, who knows how to navigate that world. Someone like you mean, Lily said. Someone who was raised in it? Yes. Veronica tilted her head. I'm not trying to be harsh, Lily. I'm actually trying to help you. You seem like a nice person. But nice doesn't survive in James's world. Eventually, you'll realize you don't fit, and it will hurt both of you when it ends. James and I love each other, Lily said, surprised by how steady her voice sounded despite the turmoil inside. That's what matters. Love isn't enough. I loved him too. But love doesn't pay for the lifestyle, doesn't navigate the social politics, doesn't understand the pressure he's under. Veronica moved toward the door, then paused. I'm not telling you to leave him. I'm just suggesting you think carefully about whether you're really prepared for what being Mrs. James Blackwood means. Because once you realize you're not, it'll be too late. You'll have already disrupted his life, possibly damaged his reputation, and broken both your hearts. And the bell above the door seemed to ring with a finality that made Lily's chest tight. Mr. Thompson emerged from the back room. "You okay, kid?" "I don't know," Lily admitted, sinking onto a stool behind the counter. Her hands were shaking. That evening when James came home, Lily was quiet. She'd spent all day replaying Veronica's words, feeling them burrow under her skin like splinters. "Hey, James," said, kissing her cheek. "How was your day?" "Veronica came to see me." Lily blurted out. James went very still. "What? At the record shop?" "She wanted to talk about you." "About your relationship." Lily looked at him, searching his face. "You never told me you were with someone for 3 years." James closed his eyes briefly, then took Lily's hands. "Sit down. Let me explain." They sat on the couch, and James kept hold of her hands like he was afraid she might float away. "Veronica and I were together from my mid-20s to my early 30s, he began. It was exactly what everyone expected. We came from the same world, knew the same people. On paper, we were perfect. But, Lily prompted. But there was no spark, no real connection. We were together because it made sense, not because we couldn't imagine being apart. When it ended, it was mutual, and honestly a relief for both of us. She said you were going to get engaged. Our mothers wanted us to get engaged. Veronica and I never seriously discussed it." James cupped Lily's face. "What we had was comfortable, safe, nothing like what I feel for you. With you, I feel alive. With Veronica, I just felt appropriate. She thinks I don't belong in your world," Lily said quietly, "that I'll eventually realize it and leave. Do you think that?" "I don't know." Lily's voice cracked. "Sometimes I feel like I'm playing a part, James. Like I'm pretending to fit into a life that isn't mine." James pulled her close, wrapping his arms around her. "Then we'll build our own life. One that's ours, not my mother's, or Veronica's, or anyone else's. We'll make our own rules." Lily wanted to believe him, but Veronica's words echoed in her mind, planting seeds of doubt that she couldn't quite shake, a secret that changes everything. 2 weeks later, Lily missed her period. At first, she didn't think much of it. Stress could cause delays, and she'd been under plenty of stress lately. But when another week passed, she bought a pregnancy test on her lunch break. Her hands shaking as she paid. She took the test in the bathroom at the record shop, unable to wait until she got home. 3 minutes felt like 3 hours. When she looked at the result, the world tilted sideways. Pregnant Lily sat on the closed toilet lid, staring at the test, her mind racing. She and James had been careful, but not perfectly careful. And now there was a baby. Their baby terror and joy warred inside her. A baby with James, a tiny person who would be half her and half him. It was beautiful. But they weren't even married yet. They'd only been together for 5 months. And with everything else, Patricia's disapproval, Veronica's warnings, the constant pressure of James's world, how would they handle a baby? That evening, Lily couldn't bring herself to tell James. She needed time to process, to figure out how she felt before sharing this life-altering news. She went to bed early, claiming a headache, and lay awake for hours, her hand resting on her still flat stomach. The next day, Patricia called. "Lily." "This is Patricia Harrington," the voice said when Lily answered, formal and cold. "I'd like to meet with you, alone." Every instinct told Lily to refuse, but curiosity, or maybe masochism, made her agree. They met at an upscale tea room, the kind of place where everything was delicate and overpriced. Patricia was already seated when Lily arrived, looking regal and intimidating. "Thank you for coming," Patricia said as Lily sat down. "I'll be direct. I'm prepared to offer you $5 million. Lily blinked. "Excuse me?" $5 million to walk away from my son, to end the engagement and leave his life quietly. Patricia slid an envelope across the table. "This is a contract. Sign it, and the money will be transferred to an account of your choosing within 24 hours. You can start over anywhere you like. Live comfortably for the rest of your life." Lily stared at the envelope like it was a snake. You're trying to bribe me? I'm trying to prevent a disaster. You don't fit into James's world, Lily. Surely you felt that. The constant scrutiny, the judgment, the expectations. It will only get worse. Eventually, you'll resent him for it, or he'll resent you for not being what he needs. This way, you both get out before real damage is done. And you get to control your son's life, Lily said, anger rising in her chest. I'm protecting him, Patricia corrected. From making a mistake that will haunt him for years. Lily stood up, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. Several other patrons turned to look. I'm not a mistake, and I'm not for sale. James and I love each other, and nothing you offer, not 5 million, not 50 million, is going to change that. You're being naive, Patricia said, her composure cracking slightly. Love doesn't conquer all, regardless of what romantic novels tell you. Reality will set in, and you'll wish you'd taken this offer. Then I'll deal with reality when it comes. With James as his wife. Lily's voice shook, but not with fear. With fury? Stay out of our lives, Mrs. Harrington. You've already lost your son with this stunt. Don't make it permanent. Lily walked out of the tea room, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might burst through her chest. She made it halfway down the block before she had to stop, lean against a building, and let the tears come. She was still standing there when her phone rang. James, hey, she answered, trying to sound normal. Where are you? I came home early and you're not here. Out. I'll be home soon. Lily, what's wrong? You sound upset. She couldn't hold it in anymore. Your mother just tried to bribe me to leave you. $5 million to walk away. Silence. Then, in a voice she'd never heard from him before, cold and dangerous, where are you? Right now, 2 blocks from that tea place on 5th Street. Stay there. I'm coming to get you. James arrived 15 minutes later, parking illegally and jumping out of the car. He pulled Lily into his arms, holding her so tightly she could barely breathe. I'm so sorry, he whispered into her hair. I'm so sorry. It's not your fault. It is. She's my mother. I should have handled this better. He pulled back to look at her. Did you take the money? Of course not. Lily almost laughed at the question. James, I love you. You can't buy that away. He kissed her right there on the sidewalk, not caring who saw. When they broke apart, his eyes were wet. I need to tell you something. I'm pregnant. Lily hadn't planned to say it like that, blurted out on a city street. But suddenly, it was the only thing that mattered. James froze. What? I'm pregnant. I found out yesterday. I was scared to tell you because of everything else going on. But now with your mother and the bribe and everything, I need you to know. We're having a baby. For a moment, James just stared at her. Then his face broke into the biggest smile she'd ever seen. He picked her up and spun her around, laughing and crying at the same time. We're having a baby, he repeated, setting her down but keeping his hands on her face. Lily, we're having a baby. You're happy? She asked, tears streaming down her face. Happy. I'm over the moon. I'm terrified and thrilled and, God, we're going to be parents. He kissed her again. This is the best news I've ever gotten. They stood there holding each other, and for a moment, the world felt perfect. The final battle James called his mother that evening. Lily could only hear his side of the conversation, but it was enough. You tried to bribe my fiancé to leave me. $5 million. Do you have any idea how insulting that is? Not just to Lily, but to me. His voice was sharp. You've disrespected the woman I love for the last time. Lily and I are getting married. We're having a baby. And you can either accept that and be part of our lives, or you can continue down this path and lose your son permanently. The choice is yours. He hung up without waiting for a response. That went well, Lily said weakly. James pulled her onto the couch beside him, placing his hand on her stomach. She'll either come around or she won't. But either way, we're doing this. You, me, and this little one. We're a family. The charity gala was scheduled for the following Saturday. It was one of the biggest events of the year, benefiting children's hospitals throughout the city. James had been on the planning committee for months, and missing it wasn't an option. "Are you sure you're up for it?" James asked as they got ready that evening. Lily was 12 weeks pregnant now, not showing yet, but dealing with morning sickness that struck at random times. "I'll be fine," Lily assured him, slipping into a flowing emerald gown that hid her still flat stomach. "I took the nausea medication. I should be good for a few hours." The gala was held in a massive hotel ballroom, decorated with thousands of flowers and twinkling lights. Lily had attended a few events with James by now, but nothing this large or formal. There had to be 500 people in attendance. James never left her side, introducing her to colleagues and donors, his hand always resting protectively on the small of her back. Lily was managing better than she'd expected, smiling and making small talk, feeling almost comfortable, until the cramping started. At first it was mild, just a slight discomfort. But within minutes, it intensified into sharp pains that made her gasp. James noticed immediately. "Lily, what's wrong?" "I don't know. It hurts." She gripped his arm, and that's when she felt it. Wetness. She looked down and saw blood on her dress. "We need to get to a hospital," James said, his voice remarkably calm despite the panic in his eyes. "Right now." Everything after that was a blur. James practically carried her to the car. The driver ran red lights to get them to the hospital. Emergency room doctors and nurses swarming around her. James holding her hand, whispering that everything would be okay, even though they both knew it might not be. "The baby's heart rate is dropping," someone said. "We need to do an emergency C-section." "But I'm only 12 weeks, Lily protested, fear making her voice high and thin. "Your placenta is abrupting. We need to deliver now, or we'll lose both of you." James kissed her forehead as they wheeled her toward surgery. "I love you. Both of you. Fight, Lily. Please fight." The surgery took 2 hours. James paced the waiting room, still in his tuxedo, looking destroyed. When the doctor finally emerged, James ran to meet him. "Your fiancée is stable," the doctor said. "She lost a lot of blood, but she's going to be okay." "And the baby?" The doctor's expression softened. "Your daughter is in the NICU. She's extremely premature. Only 28 weeks by our estimates, but she's fighting. The next 72 hours are critical, but she has a chance." "A daughter," James whispered. "Can I see them?" "Lily is just waking up. And yes, we can take you to meet your daughter." Lily was pale and weak, but alive. When she saw James, she started crying. The baby. A girl. "She's in the NICU. She's tiny and she's got a fight ahead of her. But she's here. Our daughter is here." They went together to the NICU, where a nurse led them to an incubator holding the smallest human being Lily had ever seen. Their daughter was barely bigger than James's hand, covered in tubes and wires, but she was breathing.